How many ways are there to plan out your week and make sure it is the most productive that you can be? Probably a million. And then multiply that by infinity, because everybody's different and different styles and different time of day, different preferences, digital versus paper versus electronic versus Post-its versus like just keeping it all in your head. So we are going to check out what everybody else is doing with their Plan With Me videos, because I am not the only one. There is a huge world out there of other people doing Plan With Me's. And if you're thinking about starting your own Plan With Me channel, I think that's a great idea. So we're going to do a video podcast. We're going to meet other people who have planner channels that feature planners, that do unboxings, that love talking about their productivity and how they have different hacks, how they've saved time. And it's kind of like whenever I go to a restaurant, I say this all the time, I always like to order last because for some reason I have like FOMO and I just want to see what everybody else is ordering, and then I can make a decision because maybe somebody else is going to order something that I didn't even think about, where I'm like, oh, actually, now that I hear that they ordered it, it sounds good. Or maybe I'm out to dinner with a huge group of people and like everybody except one person orders the, I don't even know, the lasagna or the steak and lobster. And I'm like, you know what? I wasn't going to go for the steak and lobster because it was so expensive, but clearly everybody else is going for the steak and lobster. I do not want to miss out. I'm going to order that. So same thing with planners and the way people do planning. Hopefully it gives you some ideas. It sparks some inspiration for you. And maybe you also are going to create your own Plan With Me channel, and then I can feature you on this video podcast. So they're all going to be live streams, so nothing scripted, totally authentic, off the cuff, just talking about the planning method and the tools that people are using, what they found to be effective, what hasn't worked out so well in the past, and also if they have a channel, they're going to share information about that with you as well. So very excited about this new video podcast that's being added to the channel. So there are already videos on here for a podcast, but they are all just me, which sure, I do love talking about myself all the time, as you know, but I thought for this year, maybe it would be nice to talk to other people and see what they're doing and get a new perspective. So very excited about this new part of the channel. I can't even tell you how psyched I am that YouTube brought a podcast ability to this platform, because I have been anti-podcast. As you know, I was complaining like, oh, podcasts are kind of like punishment. You know, when I was growing up, we were too poor to fly anywhere, so we drove every place. And we frequently drove from Illinois, which is where I lived, over to Iowa, which is where my aunt lived. And because that was a free vacation spot, and that was like, you know, Iowa's a long, like wide state. So it was like 8 hours to get to my aunt's. And there are a lot of spots there where there was nothing to listen to. I know what you're thinking. What about Sirius XM or having something like most of the time, you know, we had mixtapes, but you could only have so many mixtapes. You get sick of listening to those after 8 hours. And then, you know, there was no such thing as streaming and reading a book back then. Sometimes we drove at night or it wasn't that bright. Anyways, my point is, when I think of podcasts, I think of like those dead zones where we had to listen to AM radio. And I don't even know what they're talking about in AM radio, but it was super boring, like crazy, awful, where you're like, maybe we should all just drive in silence. I don't know. And I'm an only child, so it was just me, my parents, and that was it. So that was our drive over to wherever, usually Iowa. My aunt actually moved to Florida later on, which is an even longer. That was like 27 hours to get down there from Illinois. So trust me, I was very excited that we were driving to Florida instead of Iowa. Much more fun things to do over there. But same thing, that's kind of how I felt about podcasts. I'm changing my mind though. I know people are like loving podcasts. They listen to them during their commute. Lots of people are going back to work. And also people just enjoy listening to them on their walks, or whether they're doing laundry or cleaning the house or something else. So this is the year I'm changing my attitude. I'm opening myself up to new possibilities, and I'm excited to meet some new friends, and hopefully you can meet some cool new people too through any of those future podcasts. So make sure to hit the subscribe button. Make sure to join my mailing list so you know when those are going live. We're going to try to do those live. I'm always going to try to do those on Thursday. That is the goal. We'll see how that works out, but that's the plan, to always do lives on Thursday, depending on people's schedule. So if you want to know the exact time, make sure to join my list. I will make sure to let everybody know. And I hope you're having a fabulous start to this new year. And I will talk to you later next week, in fact. All right.